welcome to yet another edition of the award-winning podcast that all Rockets fans should be listening to. Of course, we are talking about the Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad. I am Rocket Ryan Brandt.
I am Pat Gillick, a.k.a. PJ Spiller.
I am Dan Rocket Man Savage.
I'm Kyle W.
That's Kyle W. Smith, engineer, producer extraordinaire to you and me. Got a lot to get to tonight. This is our special bowl preview edition. But before we get to that, we got a little basketball to talk about. We got the women's basketball team down at Ohio State on Sunday, this past Sunday. Robert Morris and Michigan State were the men's opponents, and I'll let Dan get into that right now.
Yeah, the ladies hung down there with the Buckeyes. Had a decent first half. A turnover right before halftime made it a 4-point game. But the Rockets were led by unsung hero Ella Weaver. One of our sharpshooters that we've been waiting for. I think she went into the game maybe 16% on the year from three. And we heard a lot of good things in the offseason and from previous years that she was a good shooter, and she balled out, man. 21 points. Sadly, it wasn't enough for the Rockets to come out with a victory over then number 21 Ohio State, as they ended up losing by 25. But, a decent effort. Too many turnovers. That would be a 27, 28 turnovers. Seems 31. Like a program record to me. 31? Yeah.
Yeah, at 31.
Yeah, the Buckeyes really pressed the heck out of us. And that's one thing we're going to have to figure out how to deal with, because if we're not going to play Kendall Braden as another ball handler and Kendall gets in foul trouble, we're going to struggle.
I think that's the third time this year, if not the fourth, that they've faced a team that's put a press on them, and we do not handle it well.
Nope. But I wasn't expecting much. It was kind of fun to see us hang around there for the first 25 or so minutes. So not much to take away from that. Just got to get better. And I don't know if this will be out by tomorrow, but the Rockets take on Wayne State at home. So get out and support your Lady Rockets. And then the men kind of lost a head scratcher at Robert Morris on Saturday. A snowstorm was coming in. Crowd was not very lively. And the Rockets held an 18-point halftime lead and blew it very soon after in the second half. Not a lot of good to come out of that game. I know Kowalczyk wasn't happy with the offense, throwing the ball away too much. He wants more from his big men down inside. And again, they led by 21 at one point. They lost 75-70. So if this Rockets team is not getting to 70 points, you can bet Kowalczyk's not going to be very happy with it. And, RMU's a decent team. You just can't take your foot off the gas when you're playing a linear foe from the Horizon League, which they think that they can play with us, and they proved that they could. And then
just like Northern on the women's side earlier this year.
Yeah, exactly. And tonight we're recording a little bit later for us, but we wanted to watch the men up at the Breslin Center, Michigan State, and Michigan State looked like a top 10 team in the country that first half. Holy crap. There's some really good athletes there. Obviously a very well-coached team. Again, kind of similar to the Buckeyes and the ladies. I wasn't expecting much, but second half, I feel like Toledo stayed dialed in. They didn't give up. Sonny Wilson, a career high, 27 points. So good to see a leader like that step up against a team that, I don't know, I saw the handshake line. There were some words exchanged. He might be looked at in the offseason if the Rockets don't hit their goals this year and Sonny wants to go elsewhere.
Yeah, the interesting thing was usually Izzo's teams are very well coached, very disciplined. They definitely played like a unit, like Izzo's teams usually do. Crazy athletic bigs. But the interesting thing in the second half was the turnover difference. And I mean, I've been watching Michigan State for years, and it doesn't matter. Izzo's always pissed. But he had a reason to be pissed in that second half.
No, Toledo does do a good job of getting in the passing lanes. That's one thing that, defensively I do like about this team. Blyden and Sonny are quick as shit. So they did a good job kind of throwing in some new looks that Michigan State wasn't ready for. But a little bit like the Belmont game, a lot of them were unforced errors. And Toledo just kind of failed to really take advantage of it. We got the game down to about 21 points, but we missed some bunnies in there and some free throws. We probably could have made it a 15-point game.
There were some good looks. Like Toledo put themselves in good position a lot of times. They just weren't dropping. I mean, even a couple layups where I'm like, that should have went in. Like it just wasn't their night on some of those shots. But in the second half, watching Pointer, there was a few times where on offense, I really liked what he was doing, getting the lane. It's your standard pick and roll, but like where he was driving at, it was just good decisions all around. I liked what I saw there.
Yeah, that's a leader we're going to need to step up. It just sucks. He seems like he has to do a lot on this team. And we're young and we're growing. So, we'll see how Sonny continues to develop. But I thought he did make a lot of good decisions today. So,
yeah, and nice
from the veteran.
Pointer's fro probably adds, 3 inches for him? So it honestly reminds me of a young PJ Spiller in college. I've seen some pictures. PJ Spiller is rocking that too.
Yeah, the perm.
Oh no, that's all natural.
People
wish they had that.
Yeah, exactly. It was more of a wavy perm, not your tight curls.
Sounds like my dad in the 80s, man.
I've
heard stories. I haven't seen pictures.
A lush, beautiful head of hair.
So, yep, that's pretty much basketball for this week. There's not too much else going on. We're going to kick it into conference play here soon, but that all happens after the bowl game. So now it's time to look into our opponent here, the Louisville Cardinals.
That's right. The coming up 1 week from today as we record this podcast, 2:00 down here in Palm Beach County. That's Boca Raton. You can see the background behind me here. That's not Boca Raton. That's Lake Worth Beach, but kind of get you all warm and fuzzy, hopefully. But anyway, just a little bit of trivia here. Keegan-Michael Key is going to be the maestro to rally fans and orchestrate stadium metamorphosis into the massive bowl of beans on 1 week from today. So just in case you're thinking about coming down, you may want to see a quality B actor in the flesh.
Is that your copy you wrote, Ryan?
Pardon me?
Was that your copy you wrote?
Yes. Yeah, you can tell I was reading it right off the teleprompter here.
Off the wire.
Yeah, I was. I made sure to write down my ad libs. So.
I mean, he's always entertaining when he does stuff for the Lions. I mean, he's always doing stuff in Detroit. So
is he? That's cool.
Yeah, a good dude to have in that spot for sure.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. We got a battle of 8 and 4 teams. Of course, the only loss from James Madison this year was a 28-14 loss at Louisville, and so it's going to be interesting to see. All time, the Rockets are 3 and 5 against the Cardinals. Last time they met each other was in 1981 at Louisville. Rockets lost 31-6, but that was en route to a 9 and 3 season when the Toledo Rockets won the first ever California Bowl on Tony Lee's 41-yard blast to beat San Jose State, 20th ranked San Jose State, 27-25. So that was that year, one of 3 losses, and Louisville went 5 and 6 that year. So Rockets are 2 and 1 at home against Louisville, 1 and 4 on the road in those meetings. So that's a little bit of trivia going back into the archives there.
Yeah, we won back-to-back years in 1934 and 35, and then followed it up with a 1958 victory. So these rivals have been going at it for a long, long time.
Oh, it's heated. I tell you, it's heated.
Speaking of heated, how's the weather going to be down there on next Tuesday?
Well, according to the CBS 12 Storm Track weather app, which is being pulled up right now, while we're waiting for that 81 team for Louisville had Mark Clayton as a wide receiver on it and Frank Minifield as a cornerback. So that was a pretty good team, and even though they went 5 and 6 that year. So according to the CBS 12 weather track or storm track, it looks like 79 degrees, partly cloudy, and 10% chance of rain. So I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, that sounds a lot nicer than what we're dealing with here in Toledo. Goodness gracious. Some more little nitty gritty about this matchup. Toledo is a 6.5-point underdog, and we opened up at 9.5. And ESPN FPI kind of likes us. They give us over 32% chance to get this win. So about a third of the times we play this matchup, the Rockets come out victorious. I'm really excited to see who we have that sticks around and plays for us, and how amped Louisville and their fans are going to be to go down there because on the socials they don't seem too thrilled.
Do you think they want to just get out of the cold weather?
You'd think, it's Boca's kind of nice in December, no matter who you are. I don't care if I was Miami and I missed the playoffs by one game. I'd be like, yeah, I'll stay down here and take on the Rockets.
They almost did miss the playoffs because of Louisville.
I know, shit. No shit. This Louisville team, as you said, Kyle, played JMU pretty tough, ended up pulling away, winning by 2 scores. I think the game was actually a little bit closer than that. And they killed 2 of the same opponents that knocked off the Rockets. They beat Bowling Green 41-17. They knocked off the Kentucky Wildcats to kind of salvage their season at the end, 41-0. But this Louisville team, they beat Pitt before Pitt made the quarterback change. They beat the Miami Hurricanes. Like that's a fantastic win. It was the then number 2 in the country, Miami Hurricanes. And then they lost a close one at home to Cal and Clemson before getting kind of beat pretty dang good to SMU. But Kyle, there was something you saw in that matchup you think that Toledo might be able to take advantage of. How'd that SMU game go for Louisville?
Yeah, what's interesting with the SMU game is Louisville's defense has actually really improved this year compared to last year. Pretty much stats across the board, but they still run a soft coverage. And SMU loves to do that dink and dunk pass. They love the short routes. And I honestly think Toledo can take advantage of that.
Well, here's some interesting something I just found here on the opt-out tracker. Louisville is going to be without 2 players who have opted for the NFL draft. Defensive tackle Rene Conga, he had 5 tackles for losses, a 1.5 sacks, 6 pass breakups, along with Wesley Bailey. He's going to the NFL as well. And this guy seems like the real deal. 7 tackles for losses and 6 sacks. They also have a couple other guys who had 1 tackle. So far for Toledo, Chris D'Apollonia, they're saying, is out with his transfer, entering the transfer portal. Of course, what a great year he had, a true sophomore, or redshirt sophomore, I should say, and he was elected team captain. 68 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, a sack, 4 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. He seemed to be all over the field. It seemed like he had more tackles than that, but that is the as of 4 days ago. That's the last time this was updated, the opt-out tracker.
Yeah, what's interesting is the Louisville Courier-Journal, which seems like a local paper, just posted today about Conga and Bailey, and they together had 68 tackles on the year. Jeff Brom, their head coach, also was quoted saying, "I hope to have at least one of the 3 running backs from the season." And the 2 Browns, the running back 1 and 2, pretty much accounted for all their rushing yards, and both of them were bell cows for sure. So it'd be interesting to see who plays, who doesn't for the running back room. And I mean, they're a pretty balanced approach. Their quarterback, Miller Moss, definitely can sling it. But the other interesting thing is Chris Bell, their leading receiver, essentially their junior Vander Ross, tore his ACL against SMU. For the year, he had 72 receptions, 917 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I mean, he was the clear-cut leader in the receiver room for that. And I think that's going to hurt him a bit.
Yeah,
going to help.
Kyle, you mentioned the Browns. I don't know if they're related or not. Isaac and Kenwan, but 782 yards, 8.6 yards per carry, and 5 touchdowns for Isaac. And then, very actually similar stats for Kenwan, 592 yards, 7.3 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns. So if they are missing both of them, it's going to be tough for Louisville to move the ball on us at all, regardless of who we have opting out. And, you mentioned D'Apollonia. Hopefully he does stick around and play. Same thing for our old Malachi Davis. But there was on the message boards,
crunch.
on the message boards today, there was a little tidbit that Braden Alls is no longer on the roster.
Oh, no.
So if that is true, we are going to see a very new and raw defensive back room next season. But we're going to be relying on, Nasir Bowers and Avery Smith and, Andre Fuller and hopefully Emmanuel McNeil-Warren to pick up the slack because that safety position has been dominant for the Rockets this year, and Braden Alls is a part of the reason.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now, and there's no Braden Alls, so that stinks.
Yeah, and one last point for Louisville, and it's a defensive note for Toledo. is they are very good in the red zone this year on offense. And I think there's only 3 or 4 drives they didn't come away with some kind of points. So it's going to be key to at least keep them out of field goal range at least. But they're efficient once they get down there.
Good point. They are, they are pretty run heavy, and outside of that wide receiver one position, they scattered the ball a little bit like Toledo did, but they do have 2 tight ends with 2 touchdowns apiece. That is Skinner and Kariski. So I think in the red zone they use that as a fail-safe, play it over the middle, and so we're gonna have to be strong at the linebacker position if we don't have Dapolonia in there with Kevon Sherman.
That's going to be a huge loss.
Yeah, a couple other stats, like you mentioned, Miller Moss, 64%, 2,500 yards in the year, but only 14 touchdowns and 7 picks. That's not crazy statistically efficient, but they've played the JMUs and the Miamis, so they've played some very tough defenses this year, and it seems like there was little resistance between us and our common opponents. So no matter who Louisville's that got out there, it's going to be a tough test for this defense. A defense for Toledo that ranks 3rd nationally in yards per game and 4th nationally in points given up at about 12.8 points per game. And Louisville defensively is also pretty good, only giving up about 21 points a game. So both of these teams score about 30. I would say that would be a very high watermark for the Rockets to achieve. If they could score 30 points on this Louisville defense, I'd be very, very impressed. But I won't hold my breath, especially not knowing who we're going to have slinging the rock out there.
It's very true.
That SMU quarterback Jennings, he does remind me a little bit of Caleb Osborne. Kind of got the same stature. We'll tuck it and run it. So that could be our winning cookie recipe if that's what we have to roll down.
That's an interesting point too. Is Miller Moss? I mean, they're going to count sacks, but I think he has like negative 58 rushing yards on the year. So it's not like he's making crazy amount of plays with his legs, which is an interesting note.
No, he doesn't run it at all. And they've been sacked 21 times. And some of my, the national podcasts I've been listening to, when they're really trying to compare JMU to Oregon, who they'll play this weekend, they talked about how good JMU's defensive line held up against what they called a secretly crappy offensive line at Louisville, which it's that's a weird sentiment when you think about that, because they did rush so effectively this year. I mean, 2 guys over 7 yards of carries with a lot of carries. I mean, I wouldn't say that's a bad offensive line, but they're just trying to find a way to dig JMU any way that they can, I feel like. But we're going to have opportunities if our defensive line comes to play to get in that backfield and make Miller Moss's day pretty rough.
Absolutely.
A couple other players that are very, very good for the Louisville Cardinals is Colin Lacey. He's going to be the other wide receiver that's going to be probably taking the majority of the targets. Got 54 receptions, 547 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Lubin on the defensive line. Holy crap. Guy's got 7 sacks. He is a force to be reckoned with. And they've got one guy I think is just kind of their do-it-all player on defense. He's a linebacker. Antonio Watts. He's got 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 passes defended, 2 picks. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink, and he's not even their leading tackler. That's I believe TJ Quinn, who's got 87 on the year, which right about matches Kevon Sherman. So gonna have a very tall task down there in Boca while we're fishing for some beans.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as far as the keys of the game goes. It just depends on who's going to show up for us. I know sources tell me that whether or not Tucker Gleason plays at all or not, he's going to be on the sidelines. That's what sources tell me. And anyway, with Chip Trainum going to the East-West Shrine game, along with Manuel McNeil Warren playing in the Senior Bowl. It'll be interesting to see if those 2 guys play. But, obviously it might just be one of those things, a battle of attrition, who has the most players that played this year, and may have to just go from there.
Yeah, I agree, and
Yep.
it doesn't sound like it's a fully like opt out versus opt out team, which is good to hear because we didn't have that last year when we played Pittsburgh either. Their stud running back, everybody played, their linebackers played. It made for a really fun game, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a team that plays in the same league as Louisville. So Louisville knows they can't overlook the Rockets because, to be frank, that Toledo team last year isn't as good as this year's team,
Right.
and Toledo still found a way to get it done.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Chip play. Louisville, I think, gives up around 110 yards a game rushing, and I think Chip's on the high side of talent for that. I don't see why he couldn't get close to that himself. And mix Kenji in as well. You can make some plays for sure. But I'd like to see Chip make a run at it and see what he can do.
Got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
except it would only be injury, but yeah, he has nothing to lose. I think the more he can showcase himself before, combines and scouts start coming around, it'll
Yeah.
be to his advantage.
Right. And kind of looking at both rosters, I would say the NFL talent is about even. I think Louisville has maybe some younger pieces. Jeff Brahms only had 2 recruiting classes there. Was one of the guys that was possibly named for the Michigan job, although he will be staying in Louisville. That's a terrific head coach. Got awesome Big Ten experience, led Purdue to a championship game. I mean, the guy is one of the best in the game as far as X's and O's goes.
And he played
So,
quarterback at Louisville, so that might be where he wants to stay. I know he's from the town, so
yeah, he's a hometown hero.
The story of this year, it mainly revolved around Penn State's early opening this year with Franklin leaving. Is a lot of these coaches use that opening as leverage to renegotiate their contract. I don't think they had any inkling to actually go to Penn State, and I think there's probably a handful of coaches seeing this as an opportunity with Michigan to possibly do the same.
Yeah, I don't even know if Michigan has an athletic director right now. So it's probably not the nicest, destination, the way that the program and the whole state of the University of Michigan's been the last maybe 5-6 years. It just seems like, I don't know, I wouldn't dip my toe in those waters if I was a already successful head coach like Jeff Brown.
I think that's what a lot of people are thinking, unless you ask a Michigan fan.
Yeah, we don't like to talk to them. So we can get into our keys of the game. I'll start it off, and we talked a little bit about offense, a little bit about defense. Special teams are going to be big in this game. Louisville has the 4th best punt return average in the country.
wow.
And I thought ours was good, but they're averaging over 6 more yards per return. So this is going to be a game for Bryson Hammer to show out and show that you belong with these ACC boys taking punt returns. But also just, it's a message to all these young guys that have played their heart out, that aren't going to be in the portal, aren't going to be sitting out. The special teams units probably don't change much going into this. And it's going to be a stiff task for the Rockets. So let's play them straight up in the special teams game and see what offense and defense can do by themselves. And then also, which it might probably, be similar to what you guys have, I want to play disciplined football. Louisville is one of the teams in the bottom 30 with us in penalty yards per game. So we got a new head coach. We want to show him that we're not all deemed to be dead last in the nation in freaking penalty yards.
Exactly.
So it'd be nice to play a nice disciplined game, and then just got to play for each other. There's like 4 or 5 head coach or coaches even left on staff. You guys are brothers. You played with each other all year, some as far as 3-4 years ago. Tucker, geez, he's been there for feels like forever. You just got to play for your fellow man next to you, and maybe things will work out.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing online is, it seemed like pretty much the players liked Coach Wiener taking over, and I think the brotherhood thing is still there. It sucks. This college calendar sucks, and it sucks losing your coach and losing your DC. But I think the boys are seasoned, and there's no reason they can't go out and make a statement.
Yeah, I think
Go ahead.
the biggest key matchup for me in this game is when Toledo's on defense and Louisville's on offense, especially in the trenches. Our D line, if we can bust through and get some pressure on him, make him use his legs for once. It'd be really nice. But I think that's the key matchup to look at, whether Pointer is in there or not on defense. It'll give an opportunity to a younger guy to get some great game action. But I think that's my key matchup.
Yeah, actually, like Dan's earlier with the special teams, particularly with the red zone staff for Louisville, you give them a long field to drive on each time. I have faith in our defense. It's going to be tough to move. I'm sure they'll get a big play or two once in a while. The defense has been known this season to give that up. But overall, it's kind of a grind and a slog to play against Toledo's defense. So don't give them any opportunity in the short field.
And it'll be interesting to see how that defense performs without Vince Karras, who's gone on to Syracuse, and Ross Watson, who's gone on to Iowa State. From what I understand, Watson, I think I mentioned that in the last podcast, was one of the guys who really called a lot of the defensive plays, and and obviously he's a great defensive backs coach. Look at all those, look at how well they're all playing this year, and everything. So it'll be that'll be one of my keys to the game, is how that defense plays without those two main coaches on the staff.
Right on. Any more keys to the game for anybody?
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about coaches calling games. Candle was the one that called the offense. So that's going to be an interesting swap up and see if, are they going to be more aggressive? Do they call just like Candle at times? We'll see.
Well, we'll see what Robert Weiner, the head coach and co-offensive coordinator. It's funny, they have two co-offensive coordinators, with Hallett, who's the offensive line coach, and Weiner, who is the quarterback's coach. So do we know who's calling the plays?
Coach Weiner said he would.
Okay.
But we just don't know if that means he's going to be up in the booth or not. It'll be him or Hallett, one of the two.
Okay, that sounds, yeah, well, we'll see what happens, huh?
Well, yeah, and as a quarterbacks guy, we don't really know who's going to be playing, if Tucker's still banged up from that CMU game, or if it's going to be John Allen Richter, who's recovered from I believe it was the homecoming game where he suffered a bad concussion, or Caleb Osborne, the guy that finished us off and got us a great second half dub the last game of the regular season against CMU. So having the quarterbacks coach be the guy that calls the plays, I think he's the one that knows the most. It'd be fun to see some innovation, though. A couple flea flickers, just some fun stuff to show that, all right, yeah, we really didn't need Candle. He was too boring. Look, let's spice it up. We got nothing to lose.
Let's just air it out and see what happens, and run up the score on those Cardinals.
For sure. Man, this episode is flying by, and I heard that Texas Nate had a score prediction. Right before we get that, this game is going to be played next Tuesday at 2:00, which is very, very tough for people to get off of work. But I will be at Whiskey Red Saloon to watch the boys. I am currently 0-3 watching Toledo games there, which is not great. I watched the Packers and the Lions lose there this weekend, so we need to turn
the hell out of there.
Thanks, Dan.
Turn around this juju, my gosh. But,
Dan's the reason they called that touchdown for the Rams against the Lions. 3 yards short. Thanks, buddy.
As a Packers fan, I'm like, how do the Lions get screwed like this all the time? It's insane.
Yeah.
But there will be, I believe, maybe a hot dog or nacho bar, and I am supplying the Bush's beans. So there will be beans, and we got to keep the theme going. I'll bring a hat or a sweatshirt for the bartender there, Brittany. She'll take care of you. She's awesome, and we'll have the audio on. So just come sit around with your fellow Rocket fans that are not making the trip down to Boca and cheer on, hopefully, a 9-4 team that had a great career here over the last 4 years in Toledo.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but the first 2,000 fans that bring a can of Bush's baked beans to the game get in free. The can of beans is going to go to a charity, so like a homeless shelter. So you got to be one of the first 2,000. And Kim went to the store today and brought home one can for me. So I don't know if I'll be one of the first 2,000, but I'll be all beamed up and ready to go.
So Ryan's camping out at the gate overnight. Be the first one in.
Oh yeah,
Make sure he gets that seat.
Me and my cheap ass want that kind of deal. Hey, and
Keep
one
them out
other
of the sun.
It's
Pardon me?
You don't
frugal.
want
keep out of the sun.
you don't want a hot can of beans in your pocket.
Yeah, they'll say, "Is that a hot can of beans? Or you just happy to see me?" And I'll say both. Hey, real quickly though, Pat, you'll appreciate this. So, the team beach parties are Saturday, and guess where they're going to be having it? Our
Benny's on the beach.
You damn right, buddy. 3 o'clock is the Toledo party. Noon is for Louisville. So Kim will get off work and we'll head on down there and root on the
Nice.
Rockets. Give them a little smack on the ass, maybe not literally, but figuratively, and tell them good luck.
Sounds like a plan.
So I can't believe they're coming here. I mean, we've been talking about this the whole podcast season during football. How I mean, it's almost like I wrote a strongly worded letter and they listened or something.
Well, we've been down there 3 times in the last 10 years. Boca obviously enjoys Rocket Faithful, spending their money down where I don't think they even need our money down there in Boca. But
No,
hey, we represent well. This conference isn't known for traveling fan bases, and they got as good of a matchup as they've probably ever had. I vaguely remember, I think Northern Illinois played Marshall one year. They were both conference champs. That was a big one, but this is probably, the biggest crowd they'll ever expect down there in Boca.
yeah, that one in 2015 against Temple though. He had a ranked team with Mr. All Everything, the linebacker Tyler Metakevich, and we had Kareem Hunt. So I mean, it was that was a good one. But yeah, this will be interesting. You got a named team in Louisville, and you got the Rockets who have represented well down there.
Yeah, get out and support if you can make the $500 round trip from Delta is what I heard.
Oh, is that what it is?
If it's probably full now, so you might be having to fly Spirit if you're booking this late.
I'm sorry if you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have seen a good fight though.
Let's kick it off with Nate's pick. Ryan, you talked about it. Nate was talking about our bowl projections all season. He's been talking about Boca all year long. How does he think we're going to fare against the Cards?
He said Toledo 28, Loserville 23.
All right.
He called him Loserville. I like it. Good job, Nate.
All right. I am in the same ballpark as far as score goes. I think that them losing Chris Bell is going to hurt their ability to go over the top and really break open our defense. So I've got the game 24-17 Cardinals. I just think that at the end of the day, there's so many unknowns. It's not that I'm going to pick Toledo in our bowl pick'em, but it's really hard for me to gauge not knowing what the heck's been going on in that building the last two or so weeks.
Right.
Yep.
I'm gonna go Rockets 21-13. It's gonna be kind of a weird score, but I think the defense is gonna show up and get that 9th win and send Robert Weiner either back to Toledo or maybe to Connecticut with a victory as 1-0 as a head coach at Toledo.
All right. And I'm right in that same ballpark as you, Dan and Nate. I'm thinking that it's going to be 24-20 Toledo on top.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm conflicted on this, and I think you guys are right. Who's going to play? Who's going to show up? This is a tough one. I'm going to say 28-24 Toledo. It's going to be another last year. Let's beat a Power 5 team.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be 14-14 going into overtime, and we'll trade 2-point conversions to get it to 28. All right. Well, that's perfect. Just remember to get in the Bowl Mania pool. You've only missed 2 games. The app has been absolutely terrible. I think about half of us, including myself, it didn't save any of my picks.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
I don't really know. Just, I guess, try to do it. And if it keeps doing it, there's nothing you can do about it. But I got the HBCU game, the Celebration Bowl game, wrong anyways. I only had Boise for 11 or Washington for 11. So I'm not too bent out of shape for missing those 2 games.
Hey, just so everybody knows, if the app doesn't continue to save, I got every pick right. Undefeated.
I believe it, Kyle.
Thank
You're
you.
a honest fella.
So, what do they call the floral pattern? Like on a Hawaiian shirt. Does that have a name?
Hawaiian
Lay.
print.
A lay?
Hawaiian print. Is that the kind of bow we're gonna put on this thing, Pat?
A
Oh,
Hawaiian?
Yeah. Well, I
Maybe.
mean, I don't know. It's good.
Like the
Why
shirts
don't-
us people wear down here.
Oh yeah, the beach shirts. Yeah, let's put a Hawaiian bow on this bitch.
Sounds good.
All right. That sounds great. Well, on behalf of engineer producer extraordinaire Kyle W. Smith and the vacationing Nate the Texas Rocket, I am Rocket Ryan Brandt.
I am PJ Spiller.
I am Dan Rocketman Savage.
Have a good night, everybody. Go Rockets. Beat those Cardinals. TOL.
EDO.
EDO.